First, this is ABC-7 Extra.
Welcome to ABC-7 Extra. Good evening. I'm your host, Dylan McKim. For the next half hour, we are talking about the District Attorney's Office. We have reported more than 900 criminal cases have been dismissed in the past month. These cases were dismissed because the DA did not officially file charges in time. All these cases were filed to be dismissed by the public defender, and more cases are eligible to be dismissed. The DA's office says they will work to refile some of these cases. We have tried to speak with District Attorney Yvonne Rosales about these dismissed cases and the petition to remove her from office. We were told 2 weeks ago she would come on this show, but ultimately decided not to. She said she would release a statement explaining everything, but she has not. This past week, we were granted an interview with an assistant district attorney, and we will show you that interview throughout this show. But first, we want to give you an update on the Walmart shooter case. This past week, local attorney Justin Underwood filed 3 subpoenas that have been issued by the court. Those who have been subpoenaed and who must appear in court this Tuesday are District Attorney Yvonne Rosales, former Assistant District Attorney and lead prosecutor on the Walmart shooter case, John Briggs. He was taken off this case in late August. And Roger Rodriguez, a judge from Vinton. It's unclear what connection Rodriguez has to this case or the DA's office. The state has asked Judge Sam Medrano to reject these subpoenas. They say Justin Underwood does not currently represent anyone in this case and does not have the ability under law to file a subpoena. Then, on Friday, the DA's office asking Judge Medrano to recuse himself from the case. In a 27-page court document, the DA's office says they questioned the judge's impartiality. In the filing, the DA's office claims the judge was not happy with who the DA had assigned to his court, and they claim the judge used a status hearing in the Walmart case on July 1st to embarrass the DA in front of media. This extra was taped on Saturday evening, and as of right now, Judge Medrano has not made a decision whether or not to reject these subpoenas or address the most recent motion. The next hearing in court is scheduled for Tuesday at 1:30 p.m., and you can count on ABC-7 to be there. Turning back to these dismissed criminal cases, ABC-7 was granted an interview with Assistant District Attorney Douglas Tiemann. He is the chief of the intake department. Tiemann and I talked about how this backlog of cases came to be and what the DA's office had planned to refile them. Let's talk about your role in the DA's office. What are your responsibilities here?
So I'm the chief of the intake unit. That specific unit is a unit where all the cases that the law enforcement officers want to pursue a prosecution present. So the case comes in, we go ahead and do a lot of detailed work in the background. Our staff reviews the case to make sure that we've got all the correct information, that we've identified the person properly. If we need to get any additional information from the law enforcement office, we take care of that as well. At that point, once it's all been processed through the checks and balances, it goes to an attorney in the office who then reviews it for the possibility of prosecuting the case and ultimately filing it or getting it indicted.
Let's go ahead and talk about the cases that have been dismissed, more than 900 since August 15th, criminal cases, just from the public defender's office. Explain to me what happened there. Why were 900 cases dismissed due to inaction? None of these cases were even indicted.
So let me describe real quick 3201. That's the Code of Criminal Procedures section that these were filed under. This is actually something that's been in the law for decades. It's something that's a safety valve. It's available to the defendant to go ahead and get relief from any of the issues regarding custody, bond, or bail. And so what's happened is under that code, the public defender has filed a motion requesting a hearing to dismiss the case. The requirements that are in there for the time frame, 180 days, or at the end of the next term of the court, those are the 2 time frames that are given, are put forth so that we have at least some time to go ahead and work the case. But they're not the ultimate end of the case. The end of a case, any deadline, if you want to call that such as the end of a case, would be the statute of limitations. So for misdemeanor cases, we have until the 2-year point of the date of occurrence, and felonies begin at 3 years and grow depending upon the type of case. Most of them are 3 to 10 years for the statute of limitations.
Okay, so the statute of limitations 3 to 10 years. But with a lot of these, in all of these cases, I mean, there were cases when I sat in that referral court and listened to the judge read them off. There were some that had been, someone was arrested 900 days ago, 400 days ago, a year, 2 years, 3 years, and yet no indictment was brought. Why did it take so long for cases such as misdemeanors, DWIs, possession charges, domestic violence charges? Why did it take so long to bring indictments in these cases and actually move them along?
I wasn't present. I didn't hear these numbers from the judge. What I have seen are there are some cases that were involved in other cases that have already been filed. And for example, if you happen to have an individual who is being charged with 2 family violence cases, those can be combined if they've happened within 12 months. One of those warrants has to be dismissed. And in at least one case that I've seen, and I'm not saying this is the one that the judge quoted, but this is one that I found where the dismissal didn't get processed on the extra charge. That was a 2017 case. So the case got processed, indicted, and actually I believe there may have been a verdict on that case. And for whatever reason, the extra case did not get dealt with. Mm-hmm. And that's something that happens occasionally in the system. So he, in this case, I'm saying it's a he, it might have been a she, I don't remember. That case actually processed to a conviction.
Right, that's one case though.
That's one case.
And I don't have 900.
I don't have details on the other ones quoted. Now, what I can tell you is we have processed some of those cases already. We're in the low 80s of the number of those 900, as you say, mm-hmm. that have already been either refiled or for whatever reason the public defender has withdrawn the motion to dismiss those cases. We're in the low 80s already. We've got in the low 420s of cases identified that we will be filing. So we're still moving forward with that. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you that our office has actually come together to go ahead and process those tremendously. Our office has stepped up. We have many attorneys who are working outside of their court duties helping us get through these cases. We've got staff members who are pushing through this. And I got to tell you, the juries, the grand jury specifically, have been working just unbelievably trying to go ahead and process through these cases, as well as the ones, they worked all the way through COVID. The courthouse was shut down, but a grand jury showed up and still processed cases. An extension of that, I just wanted to kind of mention, last year, we processed about 500 cases a month. So far this year, with the repair of the DIMS process and the extra effort that's going into the cases, we're approaching 900 cases a month for the first 8 months of this year. So we're actually improving this process with the hard work of everybody in the office and the El Pasoans that are supporting this.
Can you speak to what led, I mean, I know you say you're at the low 80s right now of refiling and indictments. Those cases were refiled and indicted? Those low 80s you said?
They are in the process of either being indicted or refiled.
Okay.
That's correct.
Okay, so those are the low 80s. Can you speak to the fact of how did it get to this point? Was it a staffing issue? Was it, I mean, you said in 2021 it was 500 cases being processed a month. Now you're almost doubling that this year. Why was it only 500 last year?
So again, process improvements. We've got the DIMS process back in line. We have the ability of people to go ahead and help us out in terms of moving through this. We've identified the cases that we need to go ahead and move forward. And we show up every day. We look at the pile of cases we've got to get through, and we work through them until they're ready to go.
The DA's office has said when we first reported on this in August that it was partly due to staffing and COVID backlogs. Do you agree with that?
I agree that COVID had an impact.
Okay.
Again, I've already given credit to the grand juries for coming through and continuing when everybody else was basically not participating because the courthouse was shut down.
Sure.
In addition to that, the juries that we deal with on a regular basis are showing up and doing this, and the El Pasoans are stepping up to help us out. But the other changes are the fact that we fixed the DIMS system this year, and there are a lot of cases that are now being presented through the DIMS process. And again, the staffing help across the entire office, helping us out.
The staffing across the entire, what is the staffing in the intake office alone?
So I'm gonna go ahead and refer you, of course, to the administration on that. I'm not directly involved with setting any of the staffing up, but the individuals we have, they're busting their tail to go ahead and make sure we get these things processed.
Are you the head of the intake
I'm
department?
chief of the intake division.
So just who works under you? Can you just explain how many work under you?
So we have a number of attorneys and staff. The staff, there's in excess of a dozen staff members, and the attorneys we have are 6 of them so far.
Okay, is that a pretty full staff? Is that normal numbers?
That's a pretty full staff. We're being able to go ahead and knock off these numbers that I've told you about. Increase from 500 to 900 a month.
You're watching ABC-7 Extra. Still ahead, we'll have more of my interview with Douglas Tiemann.
At the Hospitals of Providence East Campus, we are answering the call to care for a rapidly growing community with the completion of a $20 million expansion plan, investing in East El Paso for generations to come. Learn more at thehospitalsofprovidence.com/East Campus.
New Mexico deserves better than extremist politicians who take orders from party leaders instead of us. So I'm running for Congress to fix it. I was raised by a single mother, built a small business, and served on the Las Cruces City Council. My name is Gabe Vasquez, and to protect a woman's right to choose, lower costs for families, and give New Mexico what it deserves, I'll stand up to any party leader. That's why I approve this message.
For context, depth, and perspective you won't see anywhere else, tune into ABC-7 Sunday Extra.
You think there should be a change in gun laws in the state of Texas?
Join Dylan McKim Sunday nights at 10:35 as he brings in-depth debates on the borderland's most pressing matters.
What programs are in the budget proposal right now that are keeping streets maintained or improved?
The big stories, impactful issues, tough, fair discussions, only on ABC-7 Sunday Extra. 600 ESPN El Paso is your source for sports. And get ABC-7 News updates weekdays from 7:30 a.m. to 6:30 p.m. 600 ESPN El Paso, a partner with ABC-7 where news comes first.
93.1 Kiss FM, today's best mix. Where Mike and Iris starts your day. Open the 93.1 Kiss FM mobile app.
At the Hospitals of Providence East Campus, we are answering the call to care for a rapidly growing community with the completion of a $20 million expansion plan, investing in East El Paso for generations to come. Learn more at thehospitalsofprovidence.com/East Campus.
Welcome back. We return to my interview with the DA's office. In this portion of our interview, we continue to hear more of their plan to refile these cases and whether or not they will prioritize certain cases like domestic violence cases over others. We've been getting screenshots from, well, the confidential sources that give us screenshots about emails that are circulated in the DA's office. 2 of them now about screening parties. There's supposed to be one this weekend on Saturday. Those in the office, the DA's office, are invited to come and look at a screening party. Donuts are provided. Can you speak to that? What is the screening party?
So essentially, again, after hours, it's on weekends. The attorneys are volunteering their time to come in and review cases for the purposes of trying to get them filed as rapidly as possible.
Have you been part of those?
I was out of town when the last one took place. I intend to be here at least for part of this one coming up this weekend.
Was there a good turnout, have you heard, on the first one?
I have heard that there was a good turnout. Okay. I was not present.
Is there any other plan that we haven't talked about yet on how the DA's office their approach is to refiling these 900 cases?
Well, we're still looking at each one of these cases in an individual basis. There will be some that we do not refile because whoever the attorney is that's looking at it is going to go ahead and find that it's not a case we can prove at trial, so we're not going to go ahead and file those particular cases. But all of the ones that are viable, we're going to move forward with.
We did discuss some of these cases that were dismissed in the past month. Again, DWI, possession. There are some domestic violence cases that have been dismissed. What do you say to the victims in these cases?
The victims, I mean, we're here to seek justice. The bottom line is we're in full support. If they've got any questions, if they need any answers, they need to reach out to our victims advocates. Our victims advocates, I've met with them to try and explain this process so that they can explain it to the victims as well. Mm-hmm. We're going to go ahead and review these cases. Nobody wants to see crimes in El Paso any more than the rest of us. I know that the people of El Paso want to see that justice is done, and that's what we're here to do.
Are those cases a priority in your office with the intake, with this refiling process? I mean, these could be people, again, you are innocent until proven guilty, but there are some victims in these cases that feel unsafe now that those bond restrictions are taken off their accused, assailant. Are these cases being prioritized?
So every one of these cases are being looked at. I can tell you that.
When you say every one of these cases, you mean every one of the domestic violence or every one of the 900?
Every one of the 900 are being looked at. Now, domestic violence can be misdemeanor and felony. So we're looking at all of those cases to see whether or not they're viable cases. And we will be proceeding with filing those that we can go ahead and move forward with.
So you can't really say there's a priority on just domestic violence cases?
Crime in general, we go forward. We've got shooting victims out here as well. So we're moving forward on those also. So it's family violence. We have victims of gang activity. We have, of course, the intoxication aspects that you bring up as well. We're looking at all of those. Those are all important to the office.
What role is District Attorney Yvonne Rosales taking in all of this? Is she here working hand in hand with you and with other attorneys in this office, other staff in this office?
I was not present to the last screening party, but my understanding is yes, she was.
Even not at screening parties, but actually in the office?
She's actively involved in making sure that we've got the resources we need to move forward.
Have you been talking with her at all?
Yes, we have.
What are those discussions like?
She's interested to know whether or not we've got the cases assigned to various individuals to go ahead and review. And we're, of course, happy to tell her that they have been assigned appropriately.
There was something interesting brought up. Again, I know you were not in that referral court, but Judge Acosta, the magistrate judge who was overseeing these proceedings, there was discussion of the DA, and I forget, I'm blanking on the name right now of who the attorney was representing the DA's office at that time, but there was discussion that some of these cases, maybe it's a DWI case where they were waiting on a toxicology report or reports from the lab, and that's why they were not, the DA's office was not proceeding to indict someone. And Judge Acosta kind of came up and said, well, in state law, there is some leeway for enough probable cause where the DA's office could seek an indictment and not it can wait for the labs to come in later on. In your office, are you waiting for all labs to come in? Or does probable cause come into play here?
So probable cause is enough to go ahead and issue a warrant. It's enough to go before a grand jury. That's correct. That's a level of, it's a burden on whomever is presenting the case to meet. Probable cause is one of the lower standards that we need to go ahead and move forward. We have to prove beyond a reasonable doubt. That burden is much greater once the case gets into a trial court. We need stronger evidence. And so therefore, yes, once we get to those cases where we need laboratory results, we're waiting for that laboratory result to go ahead and show up. In the past, we've experienced that a case tends to linger in the courtroom, and it's difficult for the judge to go ahead and manage that case in the courtroom if the evidence has not yet caught up to it. So we're trying to present a case that's complete with the evidence necessary to go ahead and try the case. Therefore, we're waiting for the lab reports, everything to go ahead and go through the lab and get the proper lab reports.
Now, these 900 cases that were dismissed were only in the public defender's office, and the public defender has said there's a couple hundred more that they want to file as well for dismissal. No one really knows what the private side of things are. What's the backlog like on the private side of law? Can you even speak to that?
I'm with you. I don't know either at this point. I don't even know at this point whether the public defender is filing the other ones. As of lunchtime, I have not seen any filing requests yet.
When we return, how the DA's office is juggling their day-to-day operations while trying to refile these cases. Is it putting a strain on the office?
Violent crime is on the rise, and our law enforcement is under attack. Police officer shortages right here in New Mexico. What would Gabe Vasquez do to combat violent crime? Simple. Defund the police and cut police budgets. Or in his words, deconstruct law enforcement. Vasquez diminished the police while on the Las Cruces City Council, and now he wants to go to Congress. Putting extremist Gabe Vasquez in Congress will put us at risk. Congressional Leadership Fund is responsible for the content of this advertising.
A brain experiencing a stroke ages 3.6 years each hour it goes without treatment, erasing memories. University Medical Center's mobile stroke unit is the most advanced system of its kind in the world, ready with state-of-the-art technology, giving El Pasoans advanced treatment capabilities by bringing a specialized team and the hospital to you, cutting your treatment time and helping to save lives and memories, because every second counts. UMC, we care for El Paso.
Paige Fox here with Fox Auto Team, introducing you to the launch of Fox Fast Track. Fast Track brings the car buying process to your fingertips, whether it be from a cell phone, tablet, or computer. Fast Track allows you to set your payments, estimate your trade, and see your credit score all online. Once you determine what works for you, one of our Fox team members will reach out. Fox Fast Track is offered at all Fox Auto Team locations. We're like a treasure hunt, but a fox hunt. Come find us online at foxautoteam.com.
Wow, that was a smooth flight. That was the best flight I've ever been in.
Oh, well, thank you.
I'm an insurance adjuster. I fly everywhere, settling claims for pennies on the dollar. Know what I mean?
I don't think so. But our airline does pride itself in taking care of its customers.
Could I thank the captain personally?
Oh, sure. Captain?
Michael Gopin?
Thank you for flying Gopin Air.
You might exit the plane now, sir.
What just happened? Michael Gopin just happened.
Call the law offices of Michael Gopin right now. You'll be taken care of.
Welcome back. In the next part of my interview with Douglas Tiemann, we discuss how the DA's office is handling their regular workload with this added workload of refiling hundreds of dismissed cases. You said this year alone, 900 cases processed in the intake office a month. How many actual crimes are presented to you a month?
There's a large number, but I don't have a handle on that for you. That'd be something I'd have to go ahead and attempt to go ahead and figure out for you.
But a large number, much larger than 900?
I'm looking at traditionally what we've done in the past. It's getting close to being about the same amount.
And it leads me to my next question, because we have those 900 cases which the DA's office has said, look, we're going to look at them again. The statute of limitations is between 3 and 10 years. If we deem we're going to refile this, if we look at it and say this doesn't need to be prosecuted, we'll throw it out. But like you said, you're in the low 80s right now already of refiling cases and going through the process of getting an indictment in those cases. While you're doing this, are you able to still take on your day-to-day operations while also trying to play catch-up with these 900? I mean, I feel like you have the 900 here, you're going to have a backlog, just keep on waiting behind you.
We are juggling it with the help of the office. If I may clarify real quick,
Sure.
This does include misdemeanors. Statute of limitations on those are 2 years.
Okay, thank you.
So we're doing both filing of misdemeanors and indictments of the felonies. Yes, the juggling of the incoming cases as well as the ones that were part of this dismissal process, it's a handful, but that's why I'm telling you, everybody in the office is really coming forward and helping us pull this together. So with the help of all of our staff and other attorneys in the courts, we'll get through this.
Are you seeing attorneys and staff in every single department here coming to help?
Yes.
Does that take away other responsibilities in day-to-day operations?
It's in addition to their responsibilities. It is in addition.
That sounds concerning to me. Does that sound concerning to you?
I don't think you should be concerned about that because they are able to go ahead and juggle these activities. At least that's what I've been able to observe. We're here to make sure that El Paso's a safe place.
For El Pasoans who are watching this closely, again, this is being talked about across the state, and a lot of El Pasoans talk about this, and it is concerning to them when they see 900 criminal cases dismissed. Of course, you guys are in the process of refiling them. What do you say to them? Can you almost speak to our viewers, and can you tell them you shouldn't expect this from happening in the DA's office again? You shouldn't expect another 900 cases from being dismissed?
What I can say is thank you, El Paso. Your representatives and the juries are working this issue just as hard. And so I know that El Paso will be in support of us moving forward with this as rapidly as we can.
I have to ask on a personal level, I mean, is this tiring to you? I mean, how tired are you in the amount of work you've been doing?
We have long days. We do indeed. Not discounting that. But I'm here to go ahead and seek justice for everybody.
What's a common day for you, in and out?
My day honestly hasn't changed over the time frame that I've been here. It's been a long day almost every day that I'm here.
How long have you been here?
I've been with the DA's office a little over 14 years.
14 years. Do you see a difference between the previous administration and the current administration with your roles?
I see the emphasis being the same. The district attorney wants to seek justice.
Okay. I don't know how much you can answer this, but let's see. Now it's a week and a half ago. A week and a half ago, we were going to have the district attorney come on our show, talk to us. She backed out, but she did promise us, I'm going to have a statement for you about what's happening with the case dismissals, all the whirlwind that's been surrounding the DA's office, that's been in the media. Have you talked to her? Is she ever going to talk to us about any of this? Let's just talk about the dismissals. Is she ever going to talk to the media about this?
I unfortunately was not part of that, so I can't comment on that. I'm going to go back to what I've basically been saying all along. She's in full support of what we're trying to move forward with here. She's dedicated to making sure that the community is safe and wants to see the best for all of our victims and make sure that they're safe in El Paso.
Is she here in those long days with you?
I have seen her frequently.
Thank you for joining us. I'm Dylan McKim, and this has been ABC-7 Extra.
Thank you for watching. ABC-7 News is now available on any of these streaming